Brennan tells this story that I think gives such a picture for me and a question that I need to ask myself when I feel insecure about God's love. The story's back in 1989. Brennan did this incredible just circuit of going to churches and conferences talking about the love of God. And he finished one speaking engagement in 1989 and was walking out after the crowds were wowed by his words and everybody was feeling so high about the love of God. And Brennan wrote that when he left, he felt actually pretty empty inside himself. Compared to the life he was encouraging people to live, he felt kind of depressed. And so Manning decided, I'm going to go to visit my adopted mother, as he often did, to maybe she could bring encouragement to him. Well, to understand who Brennan Manning's adopted mother was, this 87-year-old woman, you need to go back even further than 1989. You got to go back to 1952 to Busan, Korea. At midnight, two best friends were in a foxhole together. Richard Manning, which was Manning's real name he was born with, and Ray Brennan, his best friend. These two were sitting in a foxhole together, awaiting orders in the middle of the night. Richard and Ray were best friends. They grew up together in Brooklyn. They went to school together. They bought their first car together. They double dated together. They enlisted in the military together. They went to boot camp together. And now they're together in the middle of the night, sitting in a foxhole, and they were casually eating chocolate bars, reminiscing about Brooklyn, when all of a sudden a hand grenade landed in the foxhole next to Ray Brennan. And Manning recalls that his friend casually tossed aside the candy wrapper, threw his body on the grenade, winked lovingly at his best friend before the grenade exploded and Ray Brennan was killed. Richard Manning was saved. 8 years later, Manning is now back in the U.S., and he decides he's going to go into ministry, and he's about to enter the Franciscan order as a priest. And when you go through that ordination process, you can choose a different name. And so Richard Manning chose the name of his friend. His last name of his friend, Ray Brennan, he chose his first name would now be Brennan Manning. Richard Manning became Brennan Manning because of the sacrifice of his friend. And he devoted his life, said, I want to live my life sacrificing like my friend sacrificed for me. So back to 1989, he leaves the conference feeling depressed, and now Brennan Manning goes to his adopted mom, who is really Mrs. Brennan, Ray's mom. Mrs. Brennan and Brennan Manning, they were reminiscing after dinner. They had dinner together. They were talking about the crazy things that Ray and Richard used to do together. But Manning still couldn't shake his depression as he was sitting there. So he looks at his adopted mom. This is Ray's mom, Ray who died's mom. And he says, hey, Ma, do you think Ray loved me? Mrs. Brennan's first reaction was to laugh. She thought Manning was joking. Richie, you're such a kidder. You shouldn't say things like that. You're always fooling around. Be serious. Be serious. And then Brennan Manning said to her, no, I'm serious. Do you think you love me? Then Brennan Manning says that Mrs. Brennan's eyes got really big, and he saw anger in them. And she looked at him and said, don't ever speak that way again. Don't ever speak that way about my Raymond. Stop making fun of me. And then she exploded with this question. What more could he have done for you? What more could he have done for you to show his love? Brennan said at that moment, in his depression, he had this epiphany. He imagined himself standing before the cross of Jesus wondering, does God really love me? And Jesus' mother, Mary, pointing to her son and saying, what more could he have done for you? You see, I think in life there's sometimes these moments where we wonder, does God really love me? Am I important to God? Have I done too much or gone too far? Or am I too insignificant? And John records these words, that greater love has no one than this, that Jesus laid down his life for you, his friends. What more could he have done for you and me? That is why he came. And that is why you can know and rely on the love that God has for you. Final words today from Brennan Manning. The most urgent need in your life is to trust what you've received. To trust what he has done for you. I want to give you a chance to do that right now. Would you bow in prayer with me?